It's time for Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here is your host, the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Now we know the Memphis starters. We've got the two deep. We'll talk about that in just a second. Ryan Silverfield talked explosiveness. I've never seen him as confident, as happy about a team since he took over the reins. The president and the AD met the press. That was a nice move by the university to be out front with all of this. It's all about a reminder that the conference realignment isn't over. And here's the other kicker, and maybe the main message from yesterday. They need to make their move on Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium. Make no mistake about it, they got to start. Because the longer you wait, the more money it will be. The problem is, how much money are they going to get? Is this the Grizzlies, wanting all the money? Two, dragging their feet because maybe they don't like the way the process has gone? With Memphis basically saying, we're starting the Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium redo, which obviously is needed. We're starting that, and then we'll figure it out for you, and maybe they figure this should have started with how much do we want, and then we'll give you what's left over. I will say this. Memphis has been a good citizen of Memphis forever. They could have taken $60-some million they had in reserve when the pyramid was built to build an on-campus facility. They never did because the city said, we need your money for the pyramid. And they did it. So maybe that's part of the thinking here. You have a mayor that's an alum of the university. He wants to push this through. But you do have an important franchise in this city. So let's just talk about that for 1 second. No one wants to see the Grizzlies go away. They can use all the leverage they want to, and they will. No one would consider losing your only major league franchise as a good thing. If we're talking about priorities, Memphis as an institution, the university, is much more important to the city than the Grizzlies. Let's start with that. It's the thing that educates. It's the thing that provides so many people for jobs to keep the city alive. It's more important as an institution. Make no mistake about that. As a team, the Grizzlies, if we're being honest, are the only major league entity here. So they are the most important team. And frankly, they also provide the building, because that's the way it was structured to get them here, for the Memphis Tigers basketball team. And the Memphis Tigers basketball team wants that facility to be great. I don't understand why they built it wrong in the first place, because they did. I mean, that's a fundamental mistake. It was supposed to be the way the old Conseco was. They didn't do it that way. And they've got a set of skyboxes too low, and those skyboxes could be seats that could be premium seats they took away from. And they got too many seats in the upper deck. I'm not saying that they're wrong in having to redo things. I will say this, too. In this money that the state is giving to the Titans for their new stadium, the Adams family, to the best of my knowledge, is providing income, a revenue stream. They are providing money for the building of the new stadium. I don't know how much. I don't know what the percentage is, but I know the Adams family, which is wealthy, is giving some money. I have not heard one thing from the Grizzlies or Robert Pera, who is, what is his, look up Robert Pera's net worth if you can. It's double-digit billions.
Yeah, 10.6.
$10.6 billion. He's got 10.6 bill, folks. He's got a sweetheart deal here. He should. And by the way, his options to move, like he'd love to move to Vegas, right? Maybe to Seattle, right? Because they did get kind of jobbed. The NBA owners aren't going to let that happen. They want the money from expansion. So it's not like he's got great places to move, because the top two places are going to go to an expansion team, so the owners get their share of that entry fee. It's frustrating because there's an old term, Yiddish term, chazer, pig. Come on, Robert Pera, do like the Addams family. Pay something, give some money so that other entities in your own market that you're never visible in, that they can prosper too. That's simple in my mind. You can't let your only major league entity go. But that major league entity also has to have some form of responsibility, because the top institution is asking for it. The top institution that was a good citizen years ago and helped build a stadium at the cost of their own on-campus stadium. And history is important to reflect and to think about as partnerships go. All right, real quick, depth chart. Really happy about this. So, J-Mo, there are 23 positions because there's 12 defensive spots. They've got a hybrid they call a star, okay? So he can go with 4 defensive linemen, or he can go with 3 down linemen and bring in this hybrid linebacker kind of safety position, okay? So only one offensive position is an or. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of the 12 on defense. So they're shading that. The only one on offense, Seth Hennigan is the starter. And by the way, Tevin Carter, and I will say this, I thought for a minute there Tevin Carter was actually going to end up being a tight end for this team. He's such a good athlete. But they like him at quarterback. He's the backup quarterback. Tevin Carter is. Your running backs are in this order because they're by number. Blake Watson, who's 4, or number 5, Sutton Smith, or number 8, Jay Ducker. So I got the feeling it's Smith, Ducker, Watson, although Watson's had a really good fall camp. And then you got to throw in Brandon Thomas, who's been a starter, who's just injured all the time. But that's 4 quality backs, and I think there's a couple others in there that could be pretty darn good. Your starting receivers are Brock Taylor, who I love, and Tosky Dove's backing him up. But let me tell you, that they'll rotate a lot. That's a really solid position. Demir Blankensee, who's the kid that transferred from Toledo, who's got speed. He's at 1, and I'll be honest with you, Marcelo Busey is a kid from Hutchinson Community College. He's the backup there. I don't know much about him. Skates and Drake, that's solid as your other receiver. And Anthony Lamphere, who has not caught a pass. He's the redshirt junior. He's your tight end. Your backup is also from College of San Mateo. Brendan Doyle's a redshirt sophomore. I will be honest. They were pretty clear last night in saying they think they're loaded at tight end, that they won't miss Prescorn because it's the next guy. When Prescorn got that gig, nobody knew about him. Everybody was going, everybody's gone. Joey Magnifico's history. Alan Cross is history. There's always been a guy who stepped up because that's a big part of the offense.
Tight end you.
There you go. Markalen Pounders, who started at left tackle, then didn't play much last year. He's the starting left tackle. Jonah Gamble, you knew about. Jacob Likes. Davion Carter is going to be the right guard. Xavier Hill or Terrence McLean, that's the only offensive line that's an and/or. They're loaded with defensive linemen, William Whitlow or Carmonte Hamilton. Really, really happy about the end. Nose tackle, I think they're high on these guys, but they're unproven. Got a true freshman from Katy, Texas, Jera Anderson. Kevontae Spears is his either starter or backup. There's this redshirt sophomore, young at tackle. 3 different guys at That's the nose. At the other defensive tackle, Josh Ellison's your starter, Derek Hunter or Hank Pearson. Hank Pearson was really good last year, kid from Houston High School. Then you've got that buck position, which is the defensive end linebacker, Jalen Allen, one of the stars of the team, backed up by Andre Fox. Linebackers, Chandler Martin, Jeffrey Canton-Arku, who was terrific last year, who transferred from Syracuse, Sincere Evans, who'd come from Coastal Carolina, originally from White Station, good player. He's the other linebacker. The star, that's that hybrid, is either Davion Ross or Andarius Coffey. Both are really solid players. The corners are D'Angelo Brumfield, a kid that is from Cincinnati, and DJ Bell from Pensacola, who is a redshirt freshman. They're high on him, but you could get Julian Barnett there, who's the Michigan State transfer, who's excellent. Simeon Blair, you all know, he's the kid from Arkansas. He's the starting safety along with Greg Rubin from White Station. It's good. It's deep. I think we're all pretty pleased about that. I'm sitting in the Family Leisure Studios. A reminder that summer clearance sale might be coming to an end in a couple of days. September, they usually do a fall thing. This is what they're asking. Come help clear the inventory so they can bring that fall stuff in. With do-it-yourself pools, $1,000 off. Some special 24-foot round pools, less than $2,000. Take the $1,000 off for do-it-yourself. You're walking away with a steal. There's select play gyms for under $1,900. Patio furniture, 30% off. And 24 months same as cash financing available during the summer clearance sale at Family Leisure. You know our title sponsor, it's Homer. Homer Skelton Hyundai in Olive Branch, where the pre-owned cars are in abundance. New Genesis luxury cars. Not all of the Hyundai dealerships are allowed to sell the Genesis luxury car. They do it, Homer Skelton Hyundai, because they do such a good job with a staff that's been around for 20 years. If you want the G70, that little rocket ship sedan, $1,000 off if you finance with Genesis. And then there's the Hyundais, and they got plenty on the lot more. Well, this is like pre-COVID. That's how many cars they got at Homer Skelton Hyundai. So we got a lot of things we're going to go through. Jeff Moore is going to join us for our first of all the weekly visits during the NFL season. He's in studio next segment. TJ Reeves is bracing for Hurricane Idalia. That's serious stuff down in Tampa, but we'll catch up with him before the hurricane arrives. He will join us at 10:45. Many of you know how much I love Colonial Country Club. I don't think there's a more historic golf course in the city. Home of Al Geiberger's 59, first one on the tour. Home of the tour for many, many years. It's where Gerald Ford, President of the United States of America, had a hole-in-one. It's where Jerry Pate jumped into the lake. So great a golf course. But now getting even better, and I want to talk about that because they're about to unveil their brand new redo. It's not really a redo, but it's total replacement of greens, sand traps, and tee boxes. Billy Goodnight, who is the general manager of Colonial, joins us, as does Nathan Crace, who is a golf course architect. He is with Watermark Golf. And he's the guy that was the brainchild behind all of this redo. Gentlemen, good morning. Let me start with you, Billy. Good night. When is the grand debut of all the new greens, traps, and tee boxes? Good morning.
Well, good morning, Wolo. Thank you for having us. Well, it looks like we're coming to an end here pretty quickly. This crew has really worked hard on the golf course. Everything's rounding into shape. This heat that we had last week really helped us. We're focusing on October 1.
Okay.
For our grand opening.
So a little bit more than a month from doing this. Nathan, let me start with you. When you heard about the opportunity to work on a golf course of this stature with the historic implications, what were your first thoughts? Welcome to the show.
Hey, Dave. Thank you. I've been doing this for 30 years now, and I've had really good luck of having some really good clients over the past. And, occasionally you come across some historic projects like a Tom Bendelow course we're working on in Baton Rouge and things like that. But when they called and said, look, we want to sit down and talk about making Colonial better, not that it was bad, but, it was time for an update. And in the wake of COVID, as you know, golf has just exploded. And so they had they needed to rise up and meet that demand. And it actually began with a bunker renovation. And the more we talked about it, it just made more sense to go ahead and take care of the greens and add some tees and do a few other things here and there that they had been wanting to do, but had tabled in years past for different reasons. So I think it was very wise of the ownership to, bite the bullet, as they say, and just shut it down, knock it all out, and be done with it. So now when they reopen in October, it'll be 20 years before they need to go back and do anything again.
No, that's a beautiful thing. I'm sure Jim Russell, the owner, is happy to hear about.
Absolutely.
Let me start, Nathan, if I can, with you on, what was, as you looked at this project, I know you started with the sand. What were the first things that you really felt needed to be done? How do you approach a job like this?
Well, Colonial was a little different. We just wrapped up a true restoration project of a Pete Dye golf course in Hilton Head, and Colonial's a little different. I call it a restoration because we're restoring kind of the classic feel and character of the golf course, which is what Mr. Russell and the members wanted. But you also can't just turn a blind eye to technology the last 10, 15, 20 years. So we added some tees for those better players. We also added some forward tees for juniors and seniors and people maybe who are just starting out and don't hit the ball as far.
Seniors like that, I can tell you.
Oh, absolutely. And so, because a lot of people don't realize when it did host the tour event, the Danny Thomas event back in the day, now the St. Jude, the FedEx St. Jude, it was one of, if not the longest course on the tour. And, when they were playing there in the summer and walking up and down those hills, it just made it that much longer. So it had plenty of length for the time, but as technology has moved up, things started to change. So we wanted to bring back that classic feel. We wanted to have a central theme, so all the bunkers have that classic feel to them, every hole. We actually ended up reducing some of the square footage of bunkers. There were some bunkers that just didn't come into play anymore. And even though we added a few bunkers in some key places, we still have fewer square feet overall. The greens were stripped and recontoured, and we grassed them with Tip Eagle, which in my mind is probably the number one ultra dwarf out there. And then, as you said, we shuffled some tees around. We added some tees. We did some tree trimming, some other things, added a few little things here and there that were more for the infrastructure of the golf course as far as drainage and things like that. It's really just a whole new experience. And, Billy and John Tenney, the superintendent, and Bobby, the pro, and their staff, I couldn't be happier with the way they've supported the project, and Forefront Golf, the contractor from Atlanta, just really knocked it out of the park.
Nathan, when you lengthened it with back tees, what's the total distance? For instance, if Memphis wanted to hold some sort of major kind of if Colonial wanted to hold some sort of major kind of a tournament, an amateur or something of that nature, what would be the longest you could make that golf course set up?
I don't know, and Billy may have a better answer for this. I don't think they've come back and re-rated the golf course yet.
No, not yet.
Not yet. So, but we've added a couple of hundred. It's probably, you could probably get it a hair over 7,500.
Wow. So is it true that you could, from the back tees, you've lengthened number 18, which a lot of bombers will try to get 2 and 2.
Yeah.
You've lengthened that to 650 yards. Is that true?
Well, not only did we lengthen it, we took those bunkers that the trees had been there for so long on the right-hand side, if you think off the tee.
Yeah.
Those trees had grown out into the bunkers. So we didn't want to take those trees out because they're an integral part of that dog leg, but we did take those bunkers and shift them a little left. So now you really get a better feel for that dog leg. You have to hit it out toward the lake. And the long hitters are going to have to challenge those bunkers because when you get past there, there's a little bit of a speed slot, and it wants to run away toward the water. And then in the storm about 6 weeks ago, they lost 14 trees, unfortunately, including the one in the middle of the 17th fairway. But the tree that used to be there on the lake on the left side of 18 is no longer there.
Yeah,
unfortunately, Mother Nature had different plans, but it really opens up that view of the lake now. And so the big hitters stand there on that tee, and you really have to decide if you want to challenge those bunkers now or just kind of play it safe down the left.
Man, I can't wait to see it. Nathan Crace, I thank you so much. Billy, good night. Before we say good morning and goodbye, tell me a little bit more. You're going to open this thing up on October 1st. You're going to have people come out and see it? Are you going to have some sort of a grand opening? I mean, this is historic. It's sort of like a reopening for one of the great golf courses in America.
It really is. And, yes, we have some plans in place. Going to get with Nathan on that. I know Nathan is actually going to the Ryder Cup over in Rome. So we're trying to do something where he can be here available for the grand opening. Our members are really excited about this. It's going to be a great – we already have a great golf course, but this is going to be a more friendly golf course for our younger members. And I would like to touch on this as well, the practice area that has been built. I think that is going to be a really highlight of our facility. 8,000 square foot putting green that's going to be placed right in front of the golf shop. And then we also have where the old putting green used to be for the South Course. We have turned that into a short game area that is second to none.
That's perfect. Wow. I can't wait to see it. I haven't been out there really since the renovations began in earnest. I'm going to have to come visit you soon as a proud member. By the way, now you're talking about all of this, and I know you have a good membership load, but are there openings for people who are listening to this that might be enticed to join one of the great historic golf courses in America?
Absolutely. We would love to have you. You can contact me here at the club. Our phone number here, you can reach me at 388-6155. Be glad to set up an appointment, show anyone around, take you on a tour, show you the changes of the club, and welcome you into our family.
Billy, good night. Thank you so much. Nathan Crace, I can't wait to see your great work. Also, best of luck. I hope you can bring some to the American golf team at the Ryder Cup in Rome, because they're going to need it. That European team is stacked.
I agree. It's going to be a good one this year.
Yeah. That's Nathan Crace. That is Billy Goodnight on the good story of Colonial Country Club. We talk NFL with Jeff Moore. He comes your way in a minute, brought to you in part by Ken Garland. Ken Garland Custom Home Builders for 65-plus years. Ken or his dad, they built these beautiful homes all around the Memphis area, or they've renovated. I call it renovation with innovation. You want to stay in your really beautiful comfortable lot. You love the location, but you want modern amenities. You want the video room. You want the new granite tops. You want the island in the kitchen. You want the California closets. He does that. He does that and a whole lot more. Just call 901-751-1632. First, go to kengarland.com, see the great work, then make the call. He's fun to talk to. He's the guy that sees little details, big picture all at once. He is Ken Garland, Custom Home Builders. Jeff Moore in just a minute.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises, just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it, because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets, with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com, so whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli, with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
Did you know gas goes bad in as little as 30 days? Bad gas can cause rough starts, poor performance, or no starts at all. Stable, America's #1 fuel stabilizer, ensures quick and easy starts after storage. Stable's proprietary formula keeps fuel fresh for 2 years, outperforming competitors. Whether it's your car, truck, Boat, lawnmower, leaf blower, weed trimmer, ATV, motorcycle, or anything else with an engine, when you store, start with Stable.
All 650 acquisition fee, 30,000 miles, 20 cents excess mileage. Forte PE 659,993. MSRP 22,540. Nero P 501,5237. MSRP 41,390. EV6 P 560, 3393. MSRP 50,200. Includes all rebates and incentives. Must finance through Hyundai. Excludes tax title and license with approved credit. See dealer for details. Offer valid through 9523. Dealer stock only. Warranties and limited powertrain warranty. See Kia.com or retailer for details.
I got Jeff Allen on the line. Hey, what's the scoop over there at Gossett Kia South Mount Moriah?
Randy, we got deals everyone wants. How about 41 MPG Highway, 2023 Kia Forte LXS, $249 a month, $29.99 due at signing.
Hey, Jeff, give me some EV scoop.
2023 Nero EV Win, 253 miles of EPA estimated range, $292 a month. And a 2023 Kia EV6 Win with up to 134 city, 101 highway MPGE. Only $425 a month, both $49.99 due at signing, all 36-month lease.
And Kia's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty to boot.
So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia on Mount Moriah.
2680 Mount Moriah or KiaMountMoriah.com.
Come and enjoy Sports 56 live in West Memphis, Arkansas at Meadowbrook Country Club this Friday, September 1st from 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. They're kicking off their semi-private club now at Meadowbrook Country Club. Bring your golf clubs and call for your tee time at 870-394-4186. It's going to be a hole-in-one fun. Enjoy winning lots of prizes and a chance to win 4 rounds of golf at Meadowbrook, 1250 West Broadway Avenue in West Memphis, Arkansas.
Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
One of my favorite times of the year. I get to welcome back into the studio the always smiling Jeff Moore, former Vol, former L.A. Ram. Looks like you guys got some problems out there in L.A. after you won your Super Bowl a couple of years ago. Man, it's great to speak to you again. 30th year?
Yes.
Holy cow.
Time flies when you're having fun.
So I've been doing talk radio in Memphis since 83, 40 years. So you've been doing them 3/4 of the time that I've been doing them. That's crazy. That is nuts. All right. Give me your favorite storylines that you think are going to happen this year.
So one of the most intriguing for me is the Jets. Now, obviously, Aaron Rodgers, Dalvin Cook being added to a team that I think had one of the better defenses in the AFC. But, man, I've gotten a chance to watch Hard Knocks, and I'm falling in love with Coach Saleh. Now, he cusses a lot.
Yeah.
But
That's okay. I think in this day and age.
He can coach. He can motivate. I love him. I love this team because of him and the way he's literally changing the culture. And I'm telling you, the Jets when you play the Jets, it's gonna be physical for 4 quarters.
My question is, Aaron Rodgers played just a few snaps if really any significant football, and what is he, 36, 37?
Don't matter.
You think he's still got it?
Does not matter, man. This guy, he the real deal, and of course he's got weapons around him that he didn't have in Green Bay. I think he's going to flourish in that offense. They're going to be they're going to be a very dangerous team, in my opinion. So that's a great story. I'm looking forward to seeing how these young quarterbacks are going to make the transition in Carolina, in Houston, in Indianapolis. I think the key to the development of a young quarterback is so much the environment, the team that they have around them. And when I look at all 3 of those teams, Indianapolis, to me, especially if they can get something worked out with Jonathan Taylor, is probably the best opportunity for a rookie to make a big difference, I think, in quarterback.
Well, Anthony Richardson was great at the Combine.
Yes.
He threw at the University of Florida. Maybe this was Florida's scheme. Maybe this goes to the Florida coach. But 53%, that's all he threw. I look, the Combine, I guess, is important to measure athleticism.
Uh-huh.
I buy that. He is a great broad jumper. He is a great leaper. He ran a great 40. But he threw 53% against competition in the SEC. I'm not 100% convinced. And he didn't even play against the Bears in the second game. I'm not convinced this guy's going to be a great quarterback.
Well, I'm not convinced he's going to be a great quarterback yet either. But the difference between a guy that has that kind of talent and the team that he's in is the coaching. If he could get the coaching, if he can get the protection, he can develop into a great talent. The type of skill set he has, you can't coach that. You can't buy that. So it's a matter of how they cultivate his skill set, and I think they will.
3 starting rookies: Richardson at Indy, Bryce Young at Carolina, and C.J. Stroud with
Houston.
Mm-hmm. Which of those 3 is going to be the best quarterback?
Anthony Richardson, I think. And again, because of the supporting cast, I'm really concerned about Bryce Young. I saw the kind of punishment he took in preseason.
He's a little guy.
He's a small guy, a short guy.
Doug Flutie was a short guy.
But he is a quarterback.
Kyler Murray's a short guy.
He has the it factor, in my opinion. I just hope they can protect him these first couple of years and get some more talent around him.
All right. The Kansas City Chiefs just seem to me to be great. I know they've lost the defensive lineman, at least for the moment, holding out. But this team, Andy Reid's brilliant. And they got, speaking of quarterbacks, they got the best quarterback in the game right now.
They do.
There's no doubt. Now that Tom Brady's finally gone, no one's going to even question.
It's not even
He's
close.
already got Super Bowls rings in his pocket. Are they going to repeat here?
I'm going to say no. Now, I think what's going to happen with them, and I think they're one of the best teams in the AFC, no question. But when I look at the AFC right now, Kansas City, Cincinnati, and the Jets, I think, are going to be the team standing when all is said and done. And I think Cincinnati has demonstrated that they can go toe-to-toe with Kansas City. I think the Jets, with this new regime, this new attitude, I think they're going to surprise some folks in the AFC. I really do.
NFC East seems to be an incredibly intriguing division. Cowboys all the time, Giants in that division, the other New York team.
Yeah.
Philly, which we know is really good.
Yeah.
Skins. Is that the best, most interesting division? I'm an NFC North guy, but that's just because of where I was born.
Right. I would say they're the most talented division. Certainly, because I think the Commanders are going to surprise some folks. And the Giants, to me, they made the playoffs last year, and they hadn't made the playoffs in a while. They've got basically their same team coming back. I like the Giants. I think Philly I think they're head and shoulders above everybody else, but I think everybody else is right there. But I think this is the best division in football right now.
You a believer in Dak Prescott?
I am. I'm a believer in Dak Prescott. I'm not a believer in the theory of a head coach calling offensive plays. I think they're two different jobs. And I understand Mike McCarthy knows that this is his last chance to dance. If he doesn't get it done this year, he's probably going to be out. But I think it's a mistake for him to take on that mantle and be the head coach. It's two different jobs.
I used to be coaches did that.
Mm-hmm.
Now maybe there's so many eyes on the game and it's the pace and the tempo of different. Maybe you can't. I think if I were Mike McCarthy, I would do the same thing because he knows if he doesn't get it done this year, he's out as the head coach of the Cowboys. What about the Trey Lance move? Nobody knew. The GM didn't know. McCarthy didn't know. Prescott didn't know. The guy who was going to be the quarterback. What was that move? That was all Jerry Jones.
So a classic example of Cowboy dysfunction. You bring a guy in like that and you don't talk to the main players. I mean, you just send a message that is not a positive message to the rest of your organization and your team and your coaching staff. But classic Cowboy dysfunction. I think Dak is going to be – I think he can play well. He has the potential to play well. I think what's critical is how much Pollard is able to carry the load as a full-time starter now. And then what kind of play they can get out of the tight end. They've got good receivers. They got great defense. They're in a tough division.
I hope Pollard is totally recovered from that fracture. Fractures usually are very recoverable.
They are, and you just got to manage it well. I'm just concerned about him going from his role previously to just a full-time every down back.
Tennessee Titans, your thoughts on that ball club?
A lot of question marks. Just a lot of question marks. I think Jacksonville is the class of that division right now. They've demonstrated it with just a couple of years, and they're being able to make the playoffs. They're playing with a lot of confidence. I think Indy is going to be tough for them. I think Houston's going to be tough. I think it's going to be a tough year for the Titans. I really do.
They'll be good on the ground. I'm not so sure where else they'll be good, and in particular defensively.
Yeah, and of course Derrick Henry's starting to slow down a little bit. I mean, running back to me is the most difficult position offensively in the NFL because those guys get punishment every play, and that's why the careers don't last as long on average. So we'll see.
I got to ask you about your Rams, this thing with Matthew Stafford, his wife, saying Matthew is having a hard time relating to the younger guys. Now, he did get his Super Bowl, so I'm happy for him for that. I don't know if this is a way for him to bow out. What's the status? What do you think this is all about?
Well, nothing. I certainly I need a little bit more of a sample size of his wife's expertise in quarterback play. So the Rams got a lot of issues. I think San Francisco is the class of that division. I think Seattle is next. And then, Arizona and the Rams. And Arizona's got a lot of question marks. Rams are rebuilding.
Is Green Bay going to prosper with a new quarterback and Jordan Love? How good is Jordan Love going to be? Is this the year we see Fields live up to the billing for the Bears?
I'm pulling for Fields, and I think Fields going to have a really good year. I think they've gotten him a little help offensively and in the offensive line. Better watch out for Detroit in that division. I think I think that their Jordan Love is going to be a good NFL quarterback. I really do. I think he's learned under the tutelage, or at least watching Aaron Rodgers. And I think they've got a decent team offensively to support him, and a good defense, and a really good coach. But Detroit, to me, is the team that's rising in that division.
Well, and Kirk Cousins at Minnesota, they were the team that was supposed to win it all last year, or at least win that division, and in a lot of people's minds really be a competitor for the NFC title.
Yeah.
So if this is all, as you say, the NFC North is going to be one heck of a division this year.
It is going to be.
It's always the black and blue division.
Yeah. It is going to be very interesting for sure.
So besides Richardson and maybe the three quarterbacks that we talked about, anybody else you see that'll be a big surprise defensively maybe in the NFL this year?
Not a surprise, but, man, I'm looking forward to watching Will Anderson with Houston Texans just get turned loose on Sundays. This kid is he's one of the most talented linebackers I've seen come into the league, and I've watched a little bit of his play in preseason. He's unbelievable. He is going to be a joy to watch this year if you like defensive football.
Yeah. I love the way HBO does Hard Knocks. I know most teams do not want to be on Hard Knocks, and I know the coach that you're talking about, Sal, he did not want to do this.
Okay.
But I do think I've felt this way. You watch a couple of those things, and you, of course, my allegiance is always to the Bears, but you do feel some sort of a connection with that team, and you want to watch them. But I wonder if you're elevating the Jets just because you got to know them. Remember the old Roone Arledge take, which was, and this was the way ABC did sports, and everybody copied it, which was up close and personal. And once you got to know somebody, now you wanted to watch. And that's the way ABC did it, with always interweaving the personal storyline so that you cared more about watching these particular guys. I think that's the way HBO does it with Hard Knocks. And that's why I'm very cautious about the Jets.
So Dave, this is the point. I've been through training camp. The stories that they're showing of those players that are borderline, I'm watching this coach connect with his players, with his coaches. It's real. I mean, that's why I'm excited about the Jets. I can tell that it's authentic as it can be, and it's so funny, and it brings back such great memories when you see great talented players come in and they're borderline. They're trying to make the team. They're borderline. They're dealing with this anxiety. They're going through practice every day. They're practicing hurt, and then they finally get down to cut down. And some guys make it and some don't. But the difference is just, man, it's awesome. It's awesome, and because of where we are in television right now, you're just getting a really close up view.
Yeah.
It's the real thing.
Is it
These
easier?
These guys are for real.
Easier now than it was 30-something years ago when you were playing?
Much. In terms of access?
No, in terms of what they have to go through. Like, college used to have 3 days. Now you can only do 1 day.
So you can't. These guys are so strong, so talented. You can't be hitting like that every day in preseason and practice. I think it was great for them to cut the preseason down to 3 games and then get a rest before the season starts, because they're just bigger and stronger and faster.
It is great. You're 30, man. Great talking with you.
Yes,
we'll be
sir.
doing this. We'll keep our eye on the Jets, too.
Absolutely.
I got to see it to believe it. That's our man, Jeff Moore. By the way, real estate, commercial or residential, that's our guy. Jeff Moore, cry like. Okay. Now you're all set up with that. We got to take a break. When we come back to Tampa, we go. Hopefully, TJ Reeves and family are holding on, because here comes Hurricane Idalia. I'm worried about that. I really am. We'll see how TJ feels about it. He'll be brought to you in part by the Eflin Insurance Team. You know how he does this. It's all collaboration. He gets to know you, your family, what's important, what your budget is. Then he'll protect you. He'll protect you on many fronts. He can protect you with your home. He can protect you with your auto. Life insurance, so important, especially when you got a family. He'll figure it out. Whatever your budget is, you can feel secure. He'll protect you. And if you've got a small to mid-sized business, that is the Eflin Insurance specialty. He'll get to know the same way with collaboration, what your product is, who your employees are, what your budget is, and then he protects you. All you got to do is call 901-386-GER. That's 4777. 901-386-4777. That's the Eflin Insurance Team. To Tampa we go. In just 1 minute, our friend TJ Reeves is standing by.
We are real sports talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Wherever you are, stay tuned in to Real Sports Talk. Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
With Labor Day and football season right around the corner, now's a perfect time to head on down to Memphis Barbecue Supply for all your cookout needs. Whether you need fuel, equipment, or seasoning, we have it all and more in store. We boast the largest selection of fuel and wood in the Mid-South. You'll be covered on all your kindling needs, from pellets to logs to chunk and chip, and of course, briquette and lump charcoals. We have many different varieties available to choose from. Speaking of variety, we encourage you to browse our selection of over 300 different rubs and sauces. Our knowledgeable staff is always available to assist with any questions you may have for your next cook. So stop on by and let's get you set up right for this barbecue season at Memphis Barbecue Supply. Memphis Barbecue Supply is located at 7041 Stage Road in Memphis, or you can order online at mbbq.com. Follow us on all the social media platforms for recipes, new products, and barbecue news.
Need new hires for fall before summer ends? You need Indeed. Their hiring solution helps you attract, interview, and hire. Sponsor a job and instantly receive a short list of candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
If you want a great experience, you need to go to Genesis.
Meet Kendall Womble, who shopped several other jewelry stores but ended up at Genesis Diamonds with a bigger, better quality diamond for less.
Based on what I had seen elsewhere, I didn't know that this size diamond would be possible for me to have on my finger.
Are you ring shopping? Genesis Diamonds has one of the nation's largest selections of GIA-certified diamonds at the guaranteed best prices, bar none.
You're going to get the most value for your dollar at Genesis Diamonds. You're going going to get the best customer service in town and probably in the entire state.
And that's what Kendall really loved. The personal attention, the relaxed environment, the no-pressure shopping experience.
This jewelry store was like home. It wasn't walking into corporate America. Nothing's a sales pitch here. It's all genuine. They're like a family.
Genesis Diamonds.
There would be no reason that I could ever think of that you would not go to Genesis first. And if you leave Genesis and try to shop around, you will come back to Genesis.
Memphis's direct diamond importer at Poplar and Perkins Extended.
Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
I'm worried. I actually called TJ in concern because I wasn't sure when Adalia was going to hit. We go to Tampa in a second. TJ brought to you by Conway. Conway services heating, cooling, plumbing, electric, and, of course, new technology. And you can save up to $300 on a new energy-efficient tank or a tankless water heater like I've got from Conway. So upgrade your old inefficient water heater with the new energy-efficient model. You can get a tank if you want, but I would recommend you get the tankless so you're only heating the water you need. You save money, and you never run out. And that is the truth. I don't care how much company you got, whether you're showering, running the dishwasher, and the washing machine at all the same time. You never run out. With a tankless from Conway, go to conwayservices.com for deals, terms, and conditions. So to Tampa we go. This thing's supposed to hit tonight, right?
Well, good morning. Yes. So it is going to steam up the Gulf of Mexico to the west of Tampa Bay, and the belief now is it's going to largely miss us, that we'll get the backside of wind and some storm surge, which is not good over where St. Pete, Clearwater, and the western coast is of Florida. And then this thing will swing in around the panhandle going northeast towards Jacksonville. So now they are right in the line of Hurricane Idalia. So we feel badly for them because it looks like this thing's going to strengthen to a Category 2, if not a Category 3 hurricane. Dangerous time of the year to be down here.
I'm seeing, the last I saw today on the Today Show this morning from Al Roker, was this is going to hit as a Category 3, what is it, Crystal Beach or something
up near the Panhandle, near Panama City, Pensacola.
I want to say it's in an area which is a large area.
It's not far from where you were vacationing in Destin. It's all in the same area.
It's between that Panhandle, Panama City, let's just say, and where you are, Tampa and St. Pete. It's 50, 100 miles north of that.
Correct.
And it was going to hit right on Tampa for a minute there, but they've adjusted that cone. The thing is the water surge, they're saying 10 feet to 12 feet waves wherever it first comes in.
Well, that's correct. So all of the part of western Pinellas County has been mandatorily evacuated here and all the way up the west coast of Florida. The Governor, Ron DeSantis, has ordered that. And this is a good thing that I'm not saying that you want this, but we are prepared, and they always now warn us 3 or 4 days in advance. You got to be ready. This thing is coming, and you don't know if it's going to turn towards you, come at you. So everybody make your own decision. So we've been having team meetings here in the Reeves household, just like the football teams have a team meeting on what are we doing? Are we going to leave? If we're leaving, and in this case, we would be leaving and going south, to go south down I-75 towards Sarasota, towards Fort Myers. That would be much safer than where this thing is going to go. So that's one of the things we were discussing. Now it doesn't look like we need to evacuate, so now you feel for the people that are in the brunt. And this thing is going to swing over and hit towards Jacksonville and the bottom of South Carolina over the course of the next 48 hours or so.
Yeah.
So get ready.
I wonder if this affects Tallahassee. The game they're playing, Florida State, is in Orlando.
Interestingly,
so, yeah.
Yes. So but again, it affects them if they're trying to prepare and they're trying to leave later in the week. The game is actually Sunday, so theoretically, right now, you would still have a chance to practice depending on what happens a couple of times this weekend. Friday, get your last practice in, travel Saturday, but we don't know. And at the moment, that game is still on. It's in the middle of the state. That's not supposed to be greatly affected. But again, if Tallahassee's affected, to your point, that's a massive standalone game. And now you have to go into, well, would you wait and maybe play it Monday? I'm just saying this, just speculating. Would you wait Do you want to go ahead and try to play it Sunday night? So that's touch and go for the next couple of days for the Seminoles playing LSU.
Of course, I've got a game Saturday. It's Bethune-Cookman. Florida State LSU is probably the game of the week. You may have the second best game of the week you're doing for Compass Radio. Congratulations on that gig again. And this will be West Virginia at Penn State. It's a good thing you've got a week off with the NFL. You don't have to worry about getting out of Happy Valley because that ain't easy.
And we got to get there. And again, the airport here in Tampa is closed today. They closed it at midnight last night, and it's likely closed until at least the middle of the day tomorrow, if not all of tomorrow. So
what would you
that'll
do?
be interesting. Those are first world problems. We'll figure that out. Again, LeVar Arrington, I told you this, I think, off the air. I may have mentioned it on the air. LeVar Arrington, the former Penn State All-American, one of the great players for them in the last 20 years, is my analyst. So half my battle, Wolo, will be to keep him contained up in the radio booth with 100,000 at Penn State, and it's going to be interesting. They're ranked in the top 10 preseason. A lot of expectation. West Virginia has struggled, but it's kind of a rivalry situation. They haven't played in a while. They haven't played in over a decade, West Virginia and Penn State. So this will be an interesting opener, and that is the first ever primetime Big Ten game for NBC. They will show it all over the country, Channel 5 there in Memphis, and we'll have the national call on Compass Saturday while the Tigers are playing against Bethune-Cookman. There you go.
Well, and I know you're always keeping your eye on your alma mater. And
yes.
I will say this. I've not seen a more relaxed, happy, confident Ryan Silverfield as the one I did yesterday when we shot his TV show, when he met the press for the first time and talked about explosiveness. And I actually directly asked him, you talk about explosive. What does this mean? Because he's talking about in all phases. I said, does this mean we're talking play calling or are we talking execution? And he said, really, the combination of both. He's going to open up the playbook this year.
Well, that's good. And, of course, everybody's undefeated this time of year, and you're playing a lesser opponent. You should be explosive against Bethune-Cookman. So let's see how it builds beyond that when you're playing some tougher games, including Boise State early on in the year and a couple of other ones. And now it all begins. It all begins with the mayhem of 15 weeks or so here of college football, and really intriguing because you have the disintegration of the Pac-12. You have the last time that we're only going to have 4 college football playoff teams. Next year there will be 12, and there's a lot of people that believe it's going to be much higher than that for a second season of college football after this. So in a lot of ways, 2023 is kind of the last as we know it, because this is the end of USC and UCLA being in the Pac-12, soon to be in the Big Ten. This is the end of Oklahoma and Texas being in the old Big 12 and moving to the SEC. So a lot of goodbyes to the way it was in 2023.
Well, it's the end of the 14 playoff too. Supposedly,
that's right. Yes,
it's supposed to be 12 teams next year. Let me get this in real quick before I know you want to talk some Ryder Cup. We'll do that. But in Major League Baseball, 2 good things last night that I thought were interesting. There's something in baseball every night that's different. That's why you and I love the game and you love your Rays. Jose Altuve hit for the cycle last night. That was the 9th for the Astros in their history. Altuve really just a great player. We know that. But it's the first since 13. But here's the other thing that really got me. And this is worrisome. Of course, it might not be in St. Pete where you don't have crowds. But last night, 2 fans accosted Atlanta outfielder Ronald Acuna in Colorado. They both jumped over the barrier onto the field. The first one went and hugged him, and while security came out to separate him, another one came out and really kind of ran into him and knocked him down. I don't think these were like vicious guys, but that's scary.
It is, and that's one of the premier players, and where's the security in Colorado that's watching this and keeping track of this? Because for those that think that it's just a silly thing, I mean, there are lunatics that want to come injure people and want to do worse. So that was scary, yes. And player safety should be at the forefront at all these events and all of these things. Safety during the game, but safety, I mean, it's a shame, but we're now at the point where you're going to have people do stupid things at games. People can't go and just be a fan and enjoy themselves and cheer or boo and then leave. So, yes, and Major League Baseball is addressing that, and I'm sure at the moment, he didn't know what was going on. Then he thought it was harmless, and probably now after that and later that night and this morning, he's probably thankful, one of these guys could have done something to me. They got right here, right on the field, right up to me. So, yeah, there's some explaining to do in Colorado for sure.
All right, real quick, Ryder Cup. Is it
very interesting?
When does Zach Johnson make his captain
He made
picks?
the picks. He made the 6 picks. I was looking at it a second ago.
Oh, that must have just happened.
So he just did this in Frisco, Texas, and I'm double checking.
Who
here
are they?
On the,
Whoa,
on
let's
the
break
full,
this news.
The full 6 picks are Brooks Koepka, Ricky Fowler, Sam Burns, Jordan Spieth, Colin Morikawa, and Justin Thomas. So all of those.
Oh, my God. He put Justin Thomas in over Lucas Glover. That's a mistake.
He did not pick Lucas Glover. He did not pick Bryson DeChambeau, who was interested in playing, has been playing great on the LIV Tour.
I wouldn't have picked DeChambeau either. I'm glad he went with Koepka. The only one I totally disagree with there is I would not have taken Justin Thomas, who was awful this year, and he could have taken Lucas Glover. It would have meant a lot more to Glover than it will to Thomas, and I think Glover deserved it over Thomas. I'm disappointed in that pick.
There you go. I know you got to go, but Ricky Fowler, a great match player. DeChambeau, a great match player, too. And I keep coming back to, do you want to win? But Zach Thomas
I think you
want
to win, but other than the 58 that he shot, I mean, come on. Bryson DeChambeau. And
he's a former U.S. amateur champion. He's a former NCAA champion. Those are match play events. He's been in the Ryder Cup before and had success. Do we want to win? I said Zach Thomas. I meant Zach Johnson. Zach Johnson.
But you also want good chemistry, and I don't think DeChambeau brings that.
And that's a good point, too. But he made his 6 picks, and now the Ryder Cup will be here around the corner.
All right.
So there you go.
Please be careful. Listen, if you got to get on the highway and move south, make sure there's gas in your car. Do it.
The gas tanks are full. We're not leaving at the moment, but thank you for thinking of us. We will hunker down here and, again, be thinking about all the people in the Panhandle, Pensacola, Panama City, Lower Alabama, Tallahassee, and then it's going to swing over towards Jacksonville. We'll see what happens. You guys have a great Labor Day. Go Tigers, and we'll report back next week on all of it.
You got it. Thank you. TJ Reeves, that's our man. He's brought to you in part, he loves golf, by Memphis Public Golf. I just got a nice little text from Will Keys, who's at Pine Hill. If you haven't seen the new Pine Hill, woo! And by the way, there's a little road, Cherry Road, that goes right through. If we're traveling to the south, you would have the Botanic Gardens on your left, and you'll run right into the Dixon Gardens, and you've got the new Audubon to your right. Go check it out. See what they are doing with Audubon. It's going to be fantastic. Overton Park's already fantastic. There was a guy who called me who had just played Memphis Country Club yesterday. He said to me, he drove home, he went past Galloway, and he goes, that looks as good as Memphis Country Club. The conditions are amazing. They do so good work, so much good work at making these public courses as good as anywhere, as good as any country club. Go play a Memphis public golf course today. You'll thank me. That'll do it for us. Tomorrow, we've got stats. Who else have we got? J-Mo?
Ron Higgins.
We've got Ron Higgins, big SEC day. We'll talk some Tigers, too. That's mañana coming up next. Johnny Radio. Have a great day, everyone. Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis.